Welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm Mike Van Hoozer. Today I wanted to continue the conversation that we had on our Monday Morning Moments audio podcast about defining moments. And I think it's really important when we think about defining moments in our lives that we expect those to happen and that we're prepared for those to happen. And we talked about how there's a plan and purpose for your life. You were created for meaning and to make a meaningful impact with your life. And we have to step into that. We have to, one, believe it and trust that, but step into what that is and to discern what that is as well. And I think it's important because we'll have defining moments along the way, and we don't want to miss those moments. And one of the principles that I talked about in my Moments book was about focusing on the moment. And prepositions are really important. They were important in our house. My mom was an English teacher, so everybody wants to have focus in the moment. When it's that big game or there's a big presentation that you have to give or you're thinking about a big moment, you want to have focus in that moment. But to have focus in the moment, you have to focus on the moment. And that's all about preparation. Olympians spend 4 years and maybe their whole lifetime preparing for one day at the Olympic trials when they can compete at their best. And they're hoping that everything comes together on that day so that they can then go to the Olympics and then perform at their best during that time. And it's all about focusing on that moment and understanding who they are and why they're there and the gifts and talents and opportunities that they've been given and all the preparation that they've done that's prepared them for this moment and understanding why this moment's important. So focusing on the moment is important. And when we think about not just a moment in time like the Olympic trials or a presentation or some big game that we have, but we think about our lives and focusing on the moment of our lives, it's important to think about what are we doing with that? And so I want to give you a few questions today to think about defining moments, and I hope these questions will help you in preparing for that moment called our lives, whatever stage you are in life and whatever age you are in life right now. And the first question is, what is your sphere of influence? And why do you have that sphere of influence? And a sphere of influence could be your title, a role that you play. Maybe it's something within your family, your husband, father, mother, wife, maybe your son, a brother, something like that. But you think about the sphere of influence that you have based on that role or based on that title. Maybe it's a position that you have at work and you're a leader at work and you're over a team or over a group. But why do you have that sphere of influence? And thinking about that. Thinking about a second question of what are you doing with that platform or that sphere of influence is a key question as well. Am I just going through the motions if I have a role of a leader? Or am I just, thinking about other people and them serving me? Or am I thinking about, I've been given this sphere of influence and this title, and I have a team that I'm responsible for, and I need to make sure that I'm serving them, that I'm helping them grow in their careers, that I'm taking responsibility to be able to respond to them as they have questions, as they want to grow in their career. And so it's really important to think about not only why do we have the sphere of influence that we have, but what are we doing with that platform or sphere of influence? A third question is, who's being impacted by the sphere of influence that I have? Sometimes we don't even know, and we're just passing people day in and day out, and we're influencing them, but we don't know how we're influencing them. And so it's important to think about who's being impacted by your sphere of influence or your platform so that you can focus on them and focus on things that you need to do to encourage them, to lift them up, to give them opportunities, and to encourage them in whatever they're doing. A fourth question would be, how are you preparing for defining moments in your life? And we'll put a link to that audio podcast that we talked about earlier in this week in the description for this video and this podcast. But it's important to think about preparation and an expectancy for defining moments and how are you preparing for them. If you're going to be giving a big presentation to a client, part of that's understanding who they are, the company you're representing, the content that you're going to be presenting, and being prepared for that. And so when that opportunity comes for you to present, that you're ready for that. If you're preparing for a big race, it's going through all the steps and all the preparation that you need to race in that race. If it's a 5K and you're thinking about each mile and the splits that you want to have, or the certain type of training that you want to do for that, whatever it might be, are you going through the daily reps to prepare for those defining moments when they happen, when your number is called, when your opportunity presents itself, and how are you preparing for that? And that's a great question to ask. Am I preparing, and how am I preparing for that? And then when you think about your moment in life and your time on here on this earth, are you focusing on that moment to make the most of the opportunities that you have? And that's a great question that's foundational to everything. Are we focusing on the moment called our lives in order to have focus daily, to be present, to be fully engaged, and to understand the opportunities that we have, that we've been given with the platform that we have and the sphere of influence that we have as well? So those are some questions to think about as we prepare for defining moments, and to think about, let's don't just go through the motions. Let's make the most of the opportunities that we have and be prepared when those defining moments come. And when a defining moment happens, what happens to us is it raises our level of influence and leadership, so that the very next step that we take is crystal clear in our minds, because we've gone through that experience and we're able to take that leadership to another level, to influence other people and to make a meaningful difference with our lives. Let's be present today. Let's focus on this moment called our life, and let's expect that those defining moments are going to happen in our lives. And when they happen, that you're prepared for them, that I'm prepared for them, that we make a meaningful difference with our leadership opportunity and the platform that God has given us. Jeremiah 29:11 is one of my favorite Bible verses, and it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to give you a future and a hope." God created you for a purpose, and He wants you to make the most of those opportunities in your life, especially when you have those defining moments that crystallize your purpose, your mission, and the impact that you can have with your life. And my prayer is that you walk in that today and be prepared for those defining moments, and to embrace them, and to be fully engaged and be present. As always, as we say on this channel, make the most of the moments in your life.